Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I'd like to speak to you on the subject matter, living the most wonderful life. I dedicate this post to the billions of humans, sisters and brothers who have bought on to a set of lies about everything. But for this post, they've lied to you about God, your invisible spiritual parent. And I'm here to set the record straight. We all know that all existence that man had nothing to do with is by another we call God. That would include the earth and all that is on it, in it, above it, seen and unseen. All the natural resources, the minerals, the gas, the oil, the diamonds, and much others. In fact, resources to be sufficient to meet the challenge of any human at any place, at any time. And don't forget about the water and the oxygen, humans and all other living forms, other living life forms, including you and I. All that was, is, and to come, God. When God made humans, certain things were made common amongst them, like survival. These are called basic human rights for all. These rights include, but not limited to, food and clothing and shelter, education and health care, transportation, infrastructure, and much, much more. The necessary ingredients for this project are available all over the earth. As mentioned, they are not really gifts. They are requirements for survival that every human has a right to. Every human not only have the right, but needs as well. Every human. So God made humans in such a way that each one has a desire to participate in life. Thus, the plan engages each human in a position of responsibility through a career of their choosing with the liberty of choice, permitting that which yields the greatest joy for the person and their choice. The effects of this process is that collectively the people engaged in life are creating and producing in such an abundance of goods and services, of food and clothing and homes and education and health care, transportation, infrastructure, and much, much more, that not one human suffers for anything produced at the hands of man. For this process makes them, the people, all of them, partners in ownership of all that exists for them, each one to access as they need, want, and desire at their leisure. So, all the people live in peace, prosperity, free, joy, and happy, and live their dreams. All things that are personal are accepted, except any that infringes upon the rights of others. Now, this type of living, it ends hatred. This type of living ends racism. This type of living ends bigotry. This type of living ends poverty. This type of living ends crime and violence. This type of living ends cheating and stealing and gun violence. This type of living ends terrorism and it ends war. But this is a choice of life that requires only that we as human beings treat one another as we want to be treated. Now, this method will appeal to you. It'll appeal to all of you. And it is simple, So simple, living the wonderful life. I didn't explain anything in that would produce pain and suffering. In this particular plan, it has all been eliminated. However, I do not want you to be deceived. There is another plan that I hope you, in fact, we're already living, and I'm trying to get you to reject it. It says like this, I want to present it to you like this. On earth, humans can choose to live other ways than the heavenly way. Each will have the same outcome, a state of hell. The only escape is a choice of heavenliness. Living this way is not about your basic human rights. In fact, your right will be usurped and dictated by others. You will be and are slaves for the benefit of others, knowing or unknowing. There will be and is haves and have-nots, slaves and masters. The masters having control over the masses through fear. The resources that come with this earth have been taken as the property of others. True partners are now having to do whatever jobs are required to get money to live, which is a clear, complicated way. I'm telling you, it causes you to lie, to cheat, steal, hate, kill, racism, terror, and war. And these, my friends, are the descriptions of the way we live today. And all of them are taking place in every country, every state, and every city. This is the evidence that hell, this is the evidence that the people we here living in this hell are serving time. We are all serving time in America, all over the earth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I could go into that, but I want to close this thing down because I've said to you what I want to say. But to Americans, we have a great challenge. For a while, we've always been like everybody else. We try to be a little bit better than others. We all crooked, but we wanted to be just a little bit better. That's why we say democracy, America, the greatest nation on earth. We protect other people's rights. And you can tell that recently, over the past years, we have not been protecting people's rights like we been bold and gladly standing up for. And when we said it, we really did mean it. In other words, we've become more like other nations than we want to admit. And the evidence of it is a MAGA group that stands up and doing what it does here in America. It challenged the truth by just saying that the truth was a lie, and what they were challenging it with was the truth. They said things that others were doing to point you at that direction while they were doing what they were pointing you at. And you were so deceived, it was absolutely pathetic. You bought into it by the millions and millions just because of a lie. Well, it wasn't just a lie. You needed something else to believe in. What you had been believing in had not been sufficient to meet your needs. And even under a MAGA, it wouldn't work. And even if you try to say, I don't want to go that deep and try to stick with the Democrats so you can stay a little bit above water, you will still be finding yourself suffering a lack of what is sufficient enough to meet your needs. This is why I come to you and I glorify God by telling you there's only one way, and that is by a power that you cannot see. But you love it and want it so much till you allow it to live in you. And as you express that which lives in you, it will either glorify God or not. And if you're sincere, then you will be led by others who have been used to give God glory that you haven't gotten to yet, but you're so willing to receive it. And it all becomes the light into the darkness of the world. And you who had nothing to do but just be a slave, you thought, submit yourself to others to kick and stomp and you can kiss boots and stuff. Now you find yourself a child of the living God. No one is above you and you are above no one. You got a purpose in life just like everyone, and you're excited about it, and you're giving it, and they are giving it, and all together giving it, and we produce enough to make sure that we suffer for nothing. We don't need money. We don't need a white boss. We don't need a black boss. We don't need a man boss or a woman boss. We need God in our lives and a compassion to stand up for one another, and we cannot lose. And this is what I say to the people of the world. You want a good government? Change yourselves. I guarantee you change yourselves, you'll have a good government. And you might not be a democracy. You don't know what it's going to be. It might not be capitalist, might not be social. I don't know what it's going to be. I can tell you one thing. It won't be any of the stuff that we're familiar with. Because none of that represent God. That represents those that are absent, the spirit of that kind of love. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night.